You know, with these videos, you do your best, and then when you come back and start the footage or look through it, start to edit, you realize just stuff happens. So the video I made of me painting this wall behind me, which is a 8-foot tall, 13-foot wide wall that took me about 15 minutes tops, start to finish, to mask and paint, just didn't work out. So I ended up making another video of a wall that's just behind this camera. And it's more representative of, I'd say, a 10 by 10 room. It's roughly, with the window in it, it's about 10 feet wide, still 8 foot tall. So the point of the video was to show you how you can make an extra $1,000 a month. Even if you're just getting started painting, which I always recommend you try something on your own. So your garage, your bedroom, your closets, laundry rooms, perfect places to get your bearings and to understand how the system works and how to create a step-by-step process for you to follow. You'll see in my video, the process I take is taking off light switch covers, plate covers, masking those covers, and then I mask the baseboards, and if there was crown, I'd probably mask that or take the edge of it off. Then I put my drops down, then I cut the wall in, and then I come back and roll it. So whatever process you like or that you test and try and works well for you, do that. But always use your same process so that it goes quickly, and as you learn it, you get faster with it. So hope you enjoy the video. I'll interject here and there, and hopefully this gives you some help in getting your painting business started. Small buckets, and this is exactly the way I hold this. You can hold it like this, doesn't matter. I like these because they're small, nimble. You can put up to about 1.5 quarts, I think, maybe 2 quarts in there. I kind of keep it about this level here, just as what works for me. I love this because it has a magnet, so when I'm finished, I can put my brush in there, set it down. I can cut this entire wall in just from the ground, but I'm going to show you how I would use it. Say this for a 9 or 10 foot ceiling. I would typically just use a platform, such as this bench right here, a platform bench. So I'll show you how I cut in. There are a million videos on YouTube teaching you how to cut in. So I will show you my way of doing things, and then you can choose any way you wish to cut in, whatever works best for you. I hope this shows up well right here. So I go from the left, like I would read, left to right, okay? So you can see, I mean, I'm touching if I stand all the way up, So I like to put a little small brush area below where I'm going to cut in. So I'll go all the way down, and I've got long arms, so I can basically do this wall in 2 moves. So I like to go as close to the ceiling as I can without touching. Get a nice little bead on there, and then I come back and start actually cutting in. Now, this ceiling is really rough, so I will get some on there, but eventually I'm putting crown mold on this, so this won't matter to me. But you can cut in really, really slowly and get it all the way just like you wanted. Or you could always use tape. It doesn't hurt to have tape up there, especially when you're learning. Okay, now you'll notice the way I hold my brush, or maybe you didn't, you may not care. Everybody has a different way of holding it. You can do whatever you want. I also like to cut down a little bit. And this last part, to me, is super critical. I take my brush and lightly go over the top and then feather, just literally feather that bottom edge. So you're just floating in the paint, you want to float it in. And the reason I do that, if I have to stop for some reason, get a call, there's a million reasons you need to stop. If I feather that edge out, I don't have a ridge there. So if I don't roll that immediately and there's a ridge, it's going to show up, okay? Any spots, these were been spackled a long time ago, I put a very light coat on these. Usually try to do this, 20-30 minutes before I roll. But since I'm just doing this today, I'll do it that way. Just gives it a little bit of primer, so to speak. Just so that you can see how I do it. This is what I said. I love these little Purdy brushes. They're 2-inch brushes. They fit great in the hand. They have an angle on them. I'm assuming you can see that angle there, right? They're really good for cutting in and also small areas. You know, if you're going to brush the side of a barn, obviously get as big a brush as you can handle, right? Again, steady, steady, steady. Now, I've been doing this since I was 10. I was on the job at like 6 or 7, but I was actually painting when I was about 10. And thankfully, we learned on old red houses that, hey, if it was not perfect, no big deal. Okay? And again, go back over that last, all the way to the top, down the middle, and feather that last piece in. That way it gets rid of that ridge. And then down the sides, same process. And there we go. The way I cut in around paper, and especially if I don't want to get behind that paper, is I use a little kind of a floating. Actually, I'm going to bring the camera with me just so you can see it. Sorry again for the herky-jerkiness of this video, but I want you to see how I do this. Okay, so in this scenario, so I get a little paint on my brush, and again, I go above it, okay? So I go above, make sure I get some paint up there. Okay, and then I start just kind of feathering that bottom edge, just lightly. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm just lightly touching. Because if you jam your brush down in here, especially like this, full of paint, if you do that, it's almost a given. You're gonna have paint behind that tape, okay? So literally, start up here. Right up here, give yourself a little bit of paint, and then just kind of feather down on till you cover it. If you have to go back and put 2 coats, fine, but it's a pain if you have to start all over, or if you have to go back and touch up your baseboards because you got paint all over them, okay? I'll put this back on the tripod, on the stand, and we'll finish up and start rolling. All right. So, same process all the way down. Now, if you had a really dark, like a dark brown, or you were going over it with a white, it's almost a given that you're going to have to put 2 coats, or a primer coat plus a paint coat. And then in that case, if you couldn't get paint on the baseboards, then you would use something like a frog tape to make sure you did not get paint on that. Now here's the other one. I always go around my electrical boxes with a brush because I do not roll over the tape as a general rule. I don't like it. The roller tends to get paint in and back behind the tape, and then sometimes you have to finish up your roller cover or your covers by scraping paint off of them. So I will brush around them, and then I will cut in with the roller as I get there. This one doesn't necessarily matter because it's flat, but anywhere where I can't get a roller easily, I just give it a brush coat. And then you again, everything you put on, feather it out, just so that you don't have any ridges. Okay. All right, it's cut in now. And let's get to rolling. So let's go back up. Now my rolling technique, you can always use what's called the V method, or I do it a little bit differently, and I'm gonna bet if any painters see this, they will just throw a fit, tell you it's not right, no way. But it's worked for me, so it's just the way I do it. So, I use a roller handle when I can. Every chance I get, I use a roller handle. It helps with my back. As you age, you have things that start breaking down. I love a roller handle. I keep it at the lowest extension I can, and then I put my handle on. And when I started, this is a purple roller cover. Like these. Let me make sure this is correct, folks. There it goes. Okay. So again, you can go right to left, left to right on this. This doesn't necessarily matter. This is my trusty 4 gallon, or I think about 4 gallon Worcester bucket. So my roller is already loaded, and I'll show you that in the other video. Oh, I forgot to cut that in. Excuse me. I'm not finished cutting it. Let me do that real quick. See, when you don't stick to your process, you can miss. Now normally I would take these blinds down and go underneath and behind that blind, but again, since this is a room that I'm going to completely, well, maybe even take the sheetrock out of, I don't care about it going in behind there. And that's why I say always keep a rag around, because you will splatter paint. Okay, so these are a little bit different. I usually get above windows 2 ways. I go this way, and I start the other way. So you want to go slow with your roller, especially the better roller cover you have, the less splatter you'll have. Okay? Splatter will cause you all kinds of trouble. If you roll fast, it can really, really splatter all over a room. Okay? Now, here's the way I do it. I like to kind of start in the middle, leave myself a little bit of color there so I know where I was. Start in the middle with my paint so that I evenly put the paint on the wall, and I go anywhere from 3 to 4 widths wide. This is a 9-inch roller, okay? So 3 to 4 widths wide. I'll go a little bit further on this one. All right, and then I'll go back and smooth this in. You want to picture yourself trying to push all the pressure, very little, but all the pressure right up through the handle, all the way through that rod, so that the pressure is as much as you can in the middle of that roller. If you don't, if you put pressure on one side, that's what's called a ridge, or you'll see that right there. Same thing with the other side. If you put too much pressure on the edge, you'll see a ridge, okay? I'll float that out in a second. All right, so I just gently, and now I kind of start my V pattern here. Now this is really good Sherwin-Williams duration, and I've done a wall behind me already, and it does cover in one coat. It is really nice stuff. You know, retail, this stuff's like $65, $75 a gallon. Depends on where you are in the US. So here's where you don't want to put pressure, because this is where you can really start getting ridges. And again, good covers help, roller covers help take care of that. You want to move your bucket with you so that you're not bending and taking up time that you don't need to, okay? So again, go up. I'm just putting paint on the wall right now. See, that's what you call dry rolling right there. See, when it starts running out of paint, Okay, and look at there. There's where I put too much pressure as I let off. All right. Once you've done this long enough, you'll get a rhythm, and you'll be able to zip through these walls in no time, okay? So I literally just go back over. All right, and you're just about finished. Now you can see down through here if you've missed anything. All right, you can just keep going back over if you think you missed something, or if you've got ridges. Just this is, again, this is kind of floating in my hands right now. It's no big deal. Okay? You also don't want to wear yourself out on this, all right? Painting is a very physical trade, and you want to save your body as much as possible, your back, your knees, shoulders. Okay? Try to save on those as much as you can, right? Alright. And we almost have this one. Need a little bit more paint on this one. Okay, last roll. Now I said on the first wall, which I will patch into this video as well, I like flat walls in my homes, and that is for a couple of reasons. I guess because I've painted so long, I don't mind touching up. And when I get down here, I'll show you this. I like to roll over all the areas that I've brushed as much as possible. Right up to, right around. Just try to get over your paint mark or paintbrush marks as much as possible, just to smooth everything in. All right. There. All right. That would be a painted wall. And I'll show you up close what we're doing here. All right. So this is our wall. All right. The reason I like flat, now that looks shiny right now, is because, again, I don't mind touching up. Touching up doesn't bother me. And anytime there is a defect or a scratch or a chunk out of the wall, you can patch that and touch that up with relatively good success, because flat walls don't show defects as well as shiny walls. Think of your car. When you get a dent on your car, you know it immediately, right? You can see it for miles. On a flat surface, it just doesn't show. It's still there, but it doesn't show as bad as on a shiny finish. Now, if someone wants semi-gloss or gloss, that's fine. I typically put those in laundry rooms or maybe even kitchen areas, so you can wipe those off with a sponge. Even a closet. That way you can throw your boots and stuff in there, and if the marks, you can wipe right off. But for walls like kids and stuff like that, where I know there's going to be touch-up, I have no problem just using good old flat latex paint. Anyway, hope this helps. Hey, thanks for watching and wrapping up. The room took me about 4 hours start to finish, so it's roughly an 11 by 13 foot room. There was a lot of furniture in here, and if I factor in the time to set up the cameras, move the furniture around, mask off the bases, the plugs, cut in, roll, and then putting everything back together, it was roughly 4+ hours from start to finish. If this is your first time, or if you're getting started on this, this might take you a day. That's okay. The speed will come when you get better at the actual process. So, thank you.